Hello, I'm CK here. So today I'm going to talk about internal rate of return, IRR. So basically, IRR is when the NPV, the net present value, equals to zero. The discount rate that we are using to calculate the NPV is what we call IRR. For those who do not understand NPV, net present value, you may watch our previous video. We have a video for that. So again, so this one is the formula of the NPV. It means that when the NPV equals to zero, no gain, no loss, the R, the discount rate that we are using to calculate this NPV equals to zero is what we call IRR. So IRR allows us to know at what discount rate that an investment will be break even, no gain and no loss. Here I have a formula for the NPV. From this formula, you can see that there is an inverse relationship between the NPV, net present value, and also the discount rate. So the discount rate basically representing the cost of your investment. Like for example, the cost of capital. So basically, it's the cost of your investment. And of course, when the cost of your investment is increasing, then the NPV, the net present value, which representing the value of your investment, is going to reduce. Or you can think like when the cost of your investment, if let's say is reducing, cost of your investment reducing, then the NPV will be increasing. And I have a diagram here to illustrate the relationship between NPV and discount rate. As you can see, when the discount rate is increasing, discount rate getting higher and higher, then the NPV, the value of the investment, is going to be reducing, as you can see. So of course, when the NPV is positive, then we accept the investment. While if the NPV after zero, it means here is negative, negative, then we will reject the investment. And when the NPV touches this point is where the NPV equals to zero. And at this point, the discount rate that we are using is what we call IRR, internal rate of return. There are many methods for us to calculate the IRR, and one of the simplest methods, which I'm going to share right now, is what we call interpolation method. And this is the formula of interpolation method. It will give us an estimated IRR. So listen carefully, it's an estimated IRR, which means that it's not 100% accurate. Maybe I will have another video to talk about, why it's not 100% accurate. Why this one, the interpolation method, is not the perfect method for us to calculate the IRR. But somehow it's still one of the most basic methods that we use to calculate the IRR. So I'm going to share this one first. As you can see, there are a lot of figures. It seems like very complicated, but I promise you, it looks easier than what you are thinking right now. So I have a case to illustrate this example. If you remember this formula, when the discount rate is lower, you have a higher NPV. So let's assume that when the discount rate is at 5%, the NPV is 100 positive NPV. And when we increase the discount rate to 15%, so remember the discount rate basically representing the cost. So when the cost is increasing to like 15%, then maybe your NPV is going to be negative. Let's assume that it's negative 100 in this case. So you have four figures here. Actually the four figures here will be the figures that you need in this formula. As you can see, capital letter A, capital letter B, small letter a, and small letter b, are the four figures here. It means that as long as you are having the four figures here, then you can use the interpolation method to calculate the IRR. But before we get into that, actually without the need for you to use this formula, from here, if you are smart enough, then you should be able to know what is the IRR, by just looking at the four figures here. Because as you can see, first of all, you know that the IRR is going to be in between 5% to 15%. Reasons very simple, because IRR will be the discount rate when the NPV equals to zero, which means that when this one is zero, this one is the IRR. And as you can see, you have a positive NPV and negative NPV. And when positive NPV, the discount rate is at 5%, negative is at 15%, which means that because 0 must be in between a positive NPV and negative NPV in between, and it also means the IRR is between 5 to 15%. Okay, so if you want to get the exact number, very simple. Basically, we are just calculating the distance. Okay, as you can see, 100 to 0, the distance is 100. While minus 100 to 0, the distance is also 100. So that means that the 0 is actually in the middle, And it also means that the IRR should be also in the middle of this 2%. Okay, and the answer is actually 10%. Okay, you can apply the formula and try to calculate with the 4 figures, then you should be able to get a 10%. And if you want to understand interpolation method, is just a method to calculate the distance. Okay, as you can see, the small letter a here is representing the distance here, okay, 0 to 100, and then divided by small letter a minus b is the total distance. Okay, so as you can see, if I use the distance here divided by the total distance, and I know it's half from 100, okay, is half of the total distance to get to 0. Okay, and then times the total distance here in terms of percentage is 10%. So half of the 10% is 5%. So I'm using 5% here plus another 5% in order to get the 10%.